Guys, today is part 2 of our Multiplying Fractions with Models videos series, and today the I can statement we're working on is I can multiply fractions. So in the last video we talked about multiplying fractions by whole numbers and whole numbers by fractions, but in this one we're going to focus just on fractions times fractions. So this model should look familiar because we saw this during our decimals unit. And the same rules apply for fractions. And if you remember, we were writing our equations as a decimal and as a fraction. And last time we focused more on observing the decimals, what happened with the decimals. Today we're going to focus on observing what happens with the fractions when we multiply them. So let's take a look at some pictures. If I have these two models, you'll notice there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pieces here, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pieces here. And if I were to take these two models and overlap them on top of each other, I now get a model that has 100 pieces. Think about that. I started off with two models with 10 pieces, and that gave me a whole, when I overlapped them, of 100 pieces. This is going to come in handy later on. So here's our problem, 4/10 times 5/10. And again, here's the decimal form that we talked about in our last unit. And we didn't focus so much on the fraction form, but today we are. So I start off with 4/10 because I have 1, 2, 3, 4 of my 10 pieces shaded in here, times 5/10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of my 10 pieces shaded in here. And when I overlap them, I get, as my answer, this green portion here, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 pieces out of my whole, which is 100. So I can say 4/10 times 5/10 equals 20 hundredths. Now, because we're dealing with fractions and we're going to talk about it in this unit, a common factor of 20 and 100 is 1/5 as my final answer. So you're going to need to simplify all of your fractions. You might want to write that down in your summary. Simplify all of your fractions. Let's look at another problem. Just to make sure we've got our memories, we've jogged our memories. So 6/10 times 3/10. Again, today we're going to focus more on looking at the fractional form. So here I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of 10 shaded in, and 1, 2, 3 out of 10 shaded in my second model. And when I overlap them, I get 18 pieces that overlap out of 100 because I've taken 3/10 of each of these 6 columns. I've taken 3 out of the 10 pieces in each column. So that gives me 18 hundredths. And again, I'm going to need to simplify. And this time I have a common factor of 18 and 100 of 2, which gives me 9/50ths in simplified form. Let's look at one more. 9/10 times 6/10. I take 9 out of 10 pieces on my first model, 6 out of 10 pieces on my second model, overlap them, and there are 54 overlapped pieces. Once again, that gives me 54 out of 100, and when I simplify that with a common factor of 2, I get 29/50, dividing the numerator and denominator by 2. But what happens if I don't have 10 in the denominator? Let's look at 1/2 times 3/5. I don't really change anything I do besides what the models look like. So my denominator for 1/2 is 2. That means that my model has to have 2 equal pieces. Since my numerator is 1, it tells me I shade in 1 of those 2 pieces. In 3/5, I have to have a model with 5 equal pieces and shade in 3 of them. Once again, I'm going to overlap them. And when I overlap them, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pieces. So out of 10 pieces, how many have been overlapped? 1, 2, 3. That gives me my final answer of 3/10. Let's look at another one. 2/3 times 3/4. In my first model, I shade in 2 out of 3 because 3 is my denominator, so I need 3 equal pieces, and I shade in 2. In my second model, I need 4 equal pieces, and I'm going to shade in 3. When I overlap them, think, how many pieces do you think I'm going to have when I overlap? And how did you get that answer? If you guessed 12, you were correct. Out of 12 pieces now, once I've overlapped them, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 shaded in. So my answer is 6 out of 12 or 6/12. But if you'll look, 6/12 simplified. If I divide the numerator and denominator by the common factor of 6, I get 1/2. So 6/12 is equal to 1/2. So 2/3 times 3/4 is 1/2. So let's make some observations. Here are the 5 problems we've just looked at. I didn't give the simplified form on purpose because I want you to look at what happens. How did we get the numerators? How did we get the denominators for each? Let's make some observations. Pause the video and make some observations now. Okay, let's do some practice. Let's see how your rules and observations might have worked out. And if you didn't write rules, pause the video now and write some rules for multiplying fractions. Now use your rules to multiply the fractions on this slide. We're done with the video. You can go back and watch any portion you need to as many times as you'd like, or if you feel good about this, you could be done. Do make sure that you justify your answers with a picture, though.